here, and I'm going to read the proclamation and put it in the record, and then I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about what your plans are, okay? So council, the proclamation reads as follows: whereas multiple sclerosis is a chronic, often disabling neurological disease affecting an estimated 55 to 75,000 Canadians. And whereas multiple sclerosis symptoms vary widely and may lead to problems with numbness, coordination, vision, and speech, as well as extreme fatigue and even paralysis. And whereas there is no known cause of or cure for multiple sclerosis. And whereas the MS Society of Canada, founded in 1948, is the only national voluntary organization in Canada that supports both MS research and services for people with MS and their families. And whereas the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada has provided more than $132 million for MS research for over 60 years, as well as a wide range of programs and services for people with MS and social action. And whereas the MS Carnation campaign will take place this month in our community to fund MS research and services, and whereas the dedication and commitment of the supporters and volunteers here today could only make this possible, now therefore I, Mayor Randy Sims of the City of Mount Pearl, do hereby proclaim this month of May to be MS Awareness Month for the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Canada here in the City of Mount Pearl. Ms. Kavanaugh, with that, I'm going to turn the microphone over to you. And I'm going to sign my name here to affix the signature to the proclamation and invite you to address council and tell us what your plans are.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Sims. We're the St. John's Mount Pearl chapter. We're all volunteers. Myself, Daniel, is volunteer. Even got a little small volunteer here. This is my son, Alexander. We do have our main offices in Halifax, our head offices, but we do have chapters. All our chapters throughout the Atlantic province are all volunteers. And we do set out with our month with our flag raisings, both in both cities, St. John's and Mount Pearl. And we got an information session coming up on May the 10th into the Avalon Mall from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. And we'll be selling our carnations. Our carnations are $8, a potted carnation is. And the carnation is the symbol of our MS, it is. And that's our flower. And then on May the 25th, we have our MS Walk, and that's hosted up here in Mount Pearl this year at the O'Donnell High School. And it's a big walk and a lot of participation in it. And if you go to our MS Society of Canada website, you'll be able to sign up, donate, or contribute, volunteer, or anything. If you want to volunteer, you can also contact me, myself, through our chapter, and we'd be glad to put you in a spot to volunteer. And that. Thank you.
Thank you, Zita, very much.
25th, yeah.
Thank you, Zita, very much.
Oh, we want to give you this on
okay.
behalf of the city, so that you got into the city.
Well, I tell you what, we'll give you this. You hold that up. We'll hold this up. Oh, let's go to the front. Indeed, can. Council, we're going to get all of you with us.
Perfect.
And we're going to get you guys to stand up there. All the council will stand up. Tower over us. Are we flying this flag? All right, everybody smile. Only one person listens. Jeez. Good for you, Alexander. Well done. Thank you guys very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Alexander.
Your Worship, before Mr. Kavanagh leaves, I wanted to say that the Mount Pearl Cadets have played a big part in helping with the MS Walk over the past number of years, and I wanted to acknowledge them today because they go up every year and help get the place ready and organise the walkers and get hot dogs and whatever ready. They're up there for the whole day, and just wanted to say that it's a big walk within the city, one of the biggest walks that we have within the city, and just wanted to acknowledge the Mount Pearl Cadets. And the cadets as well. Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much. Council, the next proclamation that we're going to sign is the Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month. I believe we have Joan Monk here. And Joan, we're going to get you to do the same thing, dear, if you would come up and join me here. And what I'm going to do, Joan, is read the proclamation into the record and then sign it, and I'm going to invite you then to talk about CF Month for us. Council, the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas cystic fibrosis is the most common fatal genetic disease affecting Canadian children and young adults, there is no cure. It is a multi-system disease that attacks the lungs and digestive system. Whereas there are almost 4,000 Canadians now living with cystic fibrosis, each week in Canada, 2 children are diagnosed and 1 person dies from this disease. Whereas, thanks to investments in CF research and care, Canadians are living longer, healthier lives than ever before. In the 1960s, a child with cystic fibrosis was not expected to live long enough to go to kindergarten. Today, 60% of Canadians with the disease are now living to adulthood. Therefore, be it resolved that I, Mayor Randy Sims, do hereby proclaim May as Cystic Fibrosis Awareness Month in the city of Mount Pearl, and encourage all residents to support the fight against the disease by participating in the Great Strides Walk on Sunday, May 25th, to help raise funds to find a cure or control for cystic fibrosis and continue to help Canadians battling this fatal disease. So, Joan, I'm going to give you the microphone and ask you to address council and tell us about some of your plans for the month.
Okay.
As I affix my signature to the proclamation.
Okay, I've been a volunteer with cystic fibrosis since my grandson was diagnosed, and he'll be 17 in September. At that time, it was very devastating because we were told he would probably only live to be about early 20s, and now, thank goodness, it's gone up to the 30s. We do a lot of volunteering, a lot of fundraising rather, throughout the year. Our big fundraiser for the month of May, again, is our CF Walk on the same day as the MS Walk. We do ours from the Pippi Park North Bank Lodge in St. John's, and it's called Great Strides, and we have quite a following for that. I must say it's our main fundraiser for the year. We also do a motorcycle ride for the Breath of Life. However, we don't do that in May because of Newfoundland weather. So that's planned for July 5th, I think it is, and that's going to be done from the Masonic Park here. That's in Mount Pearl, I believe. Yes, and that will be on July 5th. Our other fundraisers throughout the year are mainly just card parties, ticket sales, and whatever we can come up with. Our main reason for wanting to have our proclamations done throughout Mount Pearl, St. John's, and Newfoundland legislature is for awareness, because cystic fibrosis is not, or was not, a very well-known disease. However, through the efforts of volunteers, we're getting it to be more well-known and therefore getting more support with our fundraising. And it's only through the funds that we're able to keep the research ongoing for a cure, which we all hope will be coming in time, hopefully not too much longer. And also our fundraising helps with keeping our clinics opened. I didn't know anything about CF before my grandson was diagnosed, but now I know that I don't know what my family would have done without the help of the clinic at the Janeway, which is funded mainly by the CF Foundation. It's not it may be partially funded by the government, but it's mainly funded through fundraising that is done and, gone to the Cystic Fibrosis Canada. So that's why fundraising is so very important to us, because we want to keep those clinics open. They look after our kids, not only with the doctors and nurses who are there to care for them, but with going to a clinic to have every 5-6 weeks to be checked, make sure that their lungs are functioning, as well as they can, but also with the fantastic staff they have there who are available day and night to parents who need their help, So I thank you very much for doing this for us, and the more we can make people aware of the disease of cystic fibrosis, the better for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan, very much. And with that, I'm going to present this to you. Thank you, and we want to wish you the very best of luck with the CF month. Anybody with a comment at all or anything to say at this point in time? Who's doing walks here? We're going to do the snap. Yes, to everybody. I kind of like having everybody. Then nobody can blame everything on me. Well, some things you blame on later. Anyway, a little bit later. You and I'll do this. Let's make sure we're kind of in the middle. Shortstop, you should be out a little more. Council, we have another proclamation that we're going to sign here, and I'm going to invite Brandon Cooper to come up here with us as we do this. Brandon is chair of the city's Youth Action Committee, and he's going to talk to us about this proclamation, which is Mount Pearl Youth Week. I'm going to read the proclamation, Brandon, into the record. Bring it with you whomever you want or need. To do that, and we're going to circulate a poster that's coming out this week. Okay. Here's how the proclamation reads. Whereas recreation benefits individuals, families, neighborhoods, and communities, and the city of Mount Pearl provides high-quality programs and leisure opportunities for residents to lead healthy, active lives through recreation and to make our community a great place to live, work, and play. And whereas there is an increasing interest in youth development through recreation in Canada that is founded on a substantial and growing body of research to support the role of recreation in the positive development of youth. And whereas Canadian youth are often unrecognized for the valuable contributions they make to communities and Canada's social, economic, and civic landscape. And whereas meaningful youth engagement through recreation emphasizes access, equity, equality, and social justice and leads to positive youth development. And whereas Youth Week reminds us all of the valuable contributions that recreation and parks can make to youth development, and that youth can make to community development, and further that Mount Pearl Youth Week is endorsed by the City of Mount Pearl, the Mount Pearl Youth Opportunity Fund Foundation, the Youth Action Team, and the network of agencies and individuals committed to the positive development of youth. Now therefore be it resolved that in recognition of these benefits and values, and to provide a focal point within the year for increasing awareness, that I, Randy Sims, Mayor of the City of Mount Pearl, hereby proclaim May 11th to 17th as Mount Pearl Youth Week. And Brandon, with that, I'm going to turn to the office on.
Yep.
Microphone over to you, and you can tell us about all of your plans for the week. I'll let you in on a secret.
Okay.
Council's a little excited about that.
So are we. Yeah, we're very excited. First of all, I'd like to introduce the team, and unfortunately, we don't have the full team with us here today. So, starting with Jared, if you just wouldn't mind introducing yourselves here, please.
Hi, Jared. Good stuff. You're the hunter-gatherer.
Yep. So before Youth Week, we all sat down and we discussed goals that we wanted to achieve this year as a group and some key ideas that we wanted to get many young people in the community involved with. And one of those goals was, in fact, to make us more united and for us to come together and get things done like more as a group of young people, and so to bring all these different young like leadership groups together. So if we're having different events like a food drive, which we are having, we could bring all these different groups together, and we could have a lot more success in doing so. So which brings us to our first event, which will be next Monday, which is our leadership forum. And one of the things that we want to achieve in this forum is creating that unity and spreading that message amongst young people. So what we're doing is that we're picking 15 representatives of different leadership groups in each school. So it will be the two high schools, so O'Donnell and Senior High, MPI and SPJH. And we're bringing 15 representatives from each school together in this leadership forum to discuss issues like unity and different leadership topics. One of our main speakers that we're having is Andrew Harvey, and he's great, yeah. And he'll be discussing his personal experience and like the places that he's been and the experiences that led him to where he is. Like he used to be the chair of this team, in fact, and he told the team that it was because of the youth action team and the experiences that the city gave him that led to his success. So that's one of the main messages we want to send out, right? We're also giving young people the opportunity to choose what they want to do. That's why we have breakout sessions, and there will be 4 breakout sessions. The first one is on stereotypes. The second breakout session is on depression and mental illness. And the 2 other breakout sessions will be in the second half of the day. And by the way, it's the full school day. So the event will be taking part from regular school time to 2:30. And there will be transportation provided for people to get there. And the other 2 breakout sessions is Leadership in Me and Combating Apathy. And this event we put the most work into because we're actually presenting most of these breakout sessions. And this is probably the most amount of work we put into all of Youth Week is in this event alone. So the next event will be on the next following day, which it will be Tuesday, and it will be our food drive. And like I said before, we want to make this food drive a big event. We want to bring all these different young leaders together in the youth forum and see what we could do. See if we could get a lot of people, a big turnout, to go to houses and get things done a lot more quickly and efficiently. So we want to get people, more young people, in on it together, so we could do things with that great numbers of people, right? So that will be taking place around the Amity Wood area, and of course the full team will be there, and we're hoping to have other teams other leadership teams from schools representing there too. And the next day, Wednesday, of course, is the Youth Awards, which is the highlight of Youth Week and probably always has been. That experience alone is just great to be there and see, and just to recognize the great amount of success young people have in the city alone. It's just awesome to see that, right? And of course, we have one of our own nominated, Megan, but Megan isn't here, unfortunately. But she has been nominated for Literary Arts Award. So just would like to recognize that. Thursday is probably, this is a big deal because unlike last year or any other weeks before, we have the U-Rock Awards here in Mount Pearl. So we're hosting that as a part of Youth Week, which is an extra bonus for us, right? Because in fact, the team alone has been nominated for an award, right? So it's a big deal. It's a big deal to us.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big deal to us.
Well, we'll pick another place here if you don't win.
Yeah.
I'm not Rob Ford, but come on. We can twist some arms, Ken. Can we twist an arm with this?
So that will be on Thursday.
That's good.
And then on Friday we will have free swimming and skating offered. Those events take place every week, and normally they have to pay for the events, but we're gonna give them the opportunity to go to these for free. So then on Saturday we conclude with our sports event, which is something different because unlike the other events which focus on mostly leadership skills, we're having the sports event to look at the other talents, which are like sports skills. And I think I also left out the debate. The debate is actually going to be on Monday afternoon. We're having the forum. Later on that evening is our debate, and that's going to be here in the chambers. And that's also a really big event for us because it looks at public speaking, and that's a really essential leadership skill to be able to be a public speaker and to debate. So that's something that we did last year. It was a great success, and we're doing it again this year. I'm looking forward to it. And we're also doing free walk-ons. So if anyone wants to go to the Reed Center and just walk around and exercise, youth are free to do that. And that's Youth Week summed up for you, right there. Yep. Yeah.
That's excellent, sir. Well,
Just
thank you. Let's get your crew up here.
yeah.
We're doing it again, guys. We're doing it again.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Very well done, buddy.
Thank you. Thank
Well
you.
explained. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you guys.
I'll get to be in front row. You and I got to get here. That's all I know. You hold the proclamation. I'll hold the poster. We're gonna everybody switch in and say cheese according to the. Here we go. Well, he's hiding away. It's pretty relaxed. Thank you, guys. I'm hoping Mr. Fraser has let you in on my challenge for all of you.
Yes, we've seen it.
You're gonna. I'm looking forward to. Well, I'm hoping they will. I'm looking forward to the results of that. Actually.
We're going to read the questions in the closing.
Oh, you're actually going to take the questions that I gave him. Oh, you are a bad man.
They were fair questions.
It's going to be. I look forward to your discussion. Thank you, guys, and congrats. Good luck with the week. If there's anything else we can do, certainly let us know. We'll be there. Yeah, that's great. You guys know what I'm up to.
No, what are you doing? What is this?
No attention to telling you. What I've done basically is I had a chat with Gary, and I said in light of some of the discussions around youth engagement in the last particular couple of months, and in the recognition, quite frankly, I believe that we can say with some measure of pride, as evidenced by what we just saw presented, that the youth activity in our community and our youth engagement at the community level is significant, and probably higher than most. I think it's fair to say. But the issue here is really, when you look at Bill 6 and all of that's gone on, it's about youth engagement with us, about youth engagement with us, the city mothers and fathers, the decision makers around the table. So I posed a series of questions, only 3 or 4 of them, to Gary, and said, do you think there would be an opportunity for all of these young people to actually talk about that? Is there need for more engagement with us? Is there some avenue of communication two-way or conduit that should be available that isn't? Talk to us about it. So that's why. So they're going to do it. So that's good. And they're actually going to give us a report on it. So I'm looking forward to all of us having a look at that. Anyway, we have one more proclamation to sign today. And no stranger going to talk about this one. Councillor Ledwell is going to talk about this one, Municipal Awareness Day. The proclamation reads as follows: whereas municipal government is responsible for the provision of services that enhance the quality of life of its citizens, and whereas dedicated mayors, councillors, and staff are essential to the effective governance of their municipalities, and whereas citizen involvement is essential for an active community, and whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize and encourage the contribution of all who work diligently for the improvement of our municipalities, Therefore, be it proclaimed that May 7th, tomorrow, be known as Municipal Awareness Day in municipalities across Newfoundland and Labrador, and in recognition of the vital role of municipal government, and in recognition of all whose efforts support it. And I hereby declare May 7th Municipal Awareness Day here in the city of Mount Pearl. And there will be associated with that, council, some activities, and I'm going to invite Councillor Ledwell to let us in on all of that. Councillor, if you would.
Thank you, Your Worship. Yes, indeed. Tomorrow, May 7th, is certainly Municipal Awareness Day, and the city is going to be involved in a number of activities, both within our city facilities and also out in the community. First of all, we're going to have a colouring contest. That's for grades 2 to 5. It's going to be held at 4 schools, those being Morris Academy, Newtown Elementary, St. Peter's Elementary, and Mary Queen of the World. Winners are going to receive a class prize for their class. That's going to include Safety the Snowplow t-shirts and a pizza party, so I think that's pretty cool. Newtown Elementary is going to play host to some of our public works equipment so that students can get an idea of how some of our equipment works and get up close and personal with some of the machinery. Of course, that's a follow-up from our Safety the Snowplow design competition. You recall that the winner of the competition, Nathan, is a student of Newtown Elementary, and that's part of the prize that he was awarded for his winning entry for that contest. Our city staff are going to be asked to wear their city apparel to work tomorrow, and staff are going to be asked to submit selfies, keeping with our times, I guess, our technical times.
Selfies?
Selfies, yes, indeed.
I'm looking forward to seeing Jerry's. Stay tuned. Why do I think that's the background in Jerry's selfie will be a series of places somehow?
You and I were thinking along the same lines,
Yeah.
Your Worship, I think.
Just say it.
And the staff are going to be asked to respond to the question, what I or we enjoy the most about working for the City of Mount Pearl. I'm not sure if it's going to have anything to do with the fantastic council.
Do not put any of that on Twitter, please.
Next, the city's Health and Wellness Committee are going to sponsor healthy snacks at all of our city, well, not all of our city facilities, but here at City Hall and at the Reed Centre for visitors, so they can sample some of that stuff. As well, of course, this is National NAOSH Week, National Occupational Health and Safety Week. The city is promoting the importance of safety at work. Of course, the national theme is Make Safety a Habit. As well, our Waterford River Cleanup Blitz is coming up. The banner is going to be hung at City Hall here. The event is being held on May 24th, so we're looking to promote that particular cleanup blitz, and hopefully we'll get a lot of volunteers to come out once again. Finally, on May 7th, which is tomorrow, the city is going to open up 3 of its classes at the swimming pool free of charge, those being Family Swim, Aqua Zumba, and Adult Recreational. So there's lots happening on Municipal Awareness Day, and I encourage everyone to take part.
Thank you, sir, very much. Any questions or comments of any kind? From anybody? Hearing none, we are about to move on. There's one little presentation to be made here today, colleagues, and it's this little one right here, and it's to you, Councillor Walsh. This is your certificate of 12 years service on municipal council.
All right.
And you never got it. And you never got it. And now you get it. Well done. 12 years. 4 to go. No, well, you should have got it last year. So it's 13 now. There you go.
Yeah.
With 3 to go.
It's the anniversary of your 12th year.
That's right. It's the anniversary or something like that. Of your first year, yeah. Of your 12 years.
Wow.
Thank you very much, sir.
Congratulations, John. Good stuff. Good stuff.
You know what? It's safe to say the city of Mount Pearl has been all the better for your.
I was going to say, if we say
Here, here.
it was well deserved, it would imply that he's been doing a good job.
Yeah, no, it's fact.
Right? Should we say that it's well deserved?
It's very well deserved.
I think it's very well deserved as well.
Indeed.
John.
Yeah.
Well done. Okay, now then, there's no correspondence to list. I'm going to go on now to our departmental business, if you will, committee business. First up is Community Services Committee. Deputy Mayor Locke, if you would.
Thank you, Your Worship. Councillor Ledwell just mentioned about the cleanup blitz, the Waterford River cleanup blitz. So the first item that related to this here, of course, is cleanup. Mayor, you said several times about we want to have a war on litter and our Enter Litter campaign, and it's certainly visible, this time of the year once the snow goes, although the snow came back and covered it up. But I know Councillor Walsh is going to speak to in his report about the cleanup efforts that have been undertaken by our staff, and I got to say our city is looking looking great. Some of the open spaces and walkways and stuff like that.
I've seen them out and about, and they're going at
Yeah,
it. So
absolutely.
that, but you know what? It's good to see.
It is great to see.
Now
Yeah.
I'm noticing places. Because I'm driving through areas that have been cleaned up, and when I hit an area that hasn't, it stands out.
It stands out.
Not your fault, Jerry, it's not staff's fault.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show we need our citizens now.
And that's what I'm going to speak to here, Your Worship. You know, as we're known for in the city of Mount Pearl, we have our 20-minute makeover. So just a reminder again that our annual 20-minute makeover spring cleanup is going to be held, you know, throughout the month of May into June. Residents, schools, businesses, groups are encouraged to go out and lend a hand. Many hands definitely do make light work. And I've seen numerous groups in past years out doing it, and you'll be amazed with what a group of people can pick up in certain areas in 20 minutes, a half an hour. And if everybody just sort of jumped in and did their part, we can certainly beautify our city. So again, they can pick up free bags, gloves at the City Hall, the Reed Community Centre, the Kenmount Park Community Centre, at the Mount Pearl Pool, and at the Municipal Depot. And again, thanks once again to our major sponsor, Tim Hortons, who comes on every year with us to share in this. You know, they give out their 20-minute makeover T-shirts and little trinkets and giveaways. So they're always there to help us out. And just to note this year, Your Worship, a Family Fun Day thank you is going to be held on June the 14th up at the Kenmount Park Community Centre from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. And again, all people are welcome to come out. So again, our 20-minute makeover, people can come out and do their part. And the next item, Your Worship, is just a continuation from what Brandon was speaking to us about with respect to Youth Week from May the 11th to May the 17th. And this has to do with the focus on youth awards and show. And I've said it before, and I know many councillors, all council, you know, shares this. This is a highlight in our calendar every year. We do value and cherish very much the work of our youth, and we can certainly see the work that had to have gone in to this week here, that the dedication from our youth. And I'm delighted for this because, you know, as you know, I work with youth every day in the high school system, and councillors Tessier and Walsh were involved in the school system as well. And quite often in the media, the youth get a bad rap. But I always tell people that the far, far, far majority of our young people, they're good people with good hearts. They will grow up to be good citizens that will contribute to society. So I always say that, you know, rather than dwell on the negative, you celebrate the positive. And that's what we do here in the city of Mount Pearl very well with our youth. And it shows from all the activities that are taking place here. So it's the 25th annual Focus on Youth Awards and show. It's going to take place again on May the 14th, 7 p.m. at the Glacier. You can purchase your tickets at the Reed Community Centre until 4 p.m. on May the 10th. The cost is $20. The 2013 Focus on Youth Awards will be presented in 15 categories. And thanks again to our major sponsors, Newfoundland and Labrador Credit Union, Eastern Audio Limited, and Smitty's, as well as many other local businesses. The Youth Awards are coordinated in partnership with the city's Community Services Department and the Mount Pearl Sport Alliance. And of course, we all know the yeoman service that Gary Fraser does every year to the Focus on Youth Awards, and he has a very close relationship with the youth here, and he does an outstanding job. So if you have any questions, you can contact Gary Fraser at 748-1010 or gfraser@mountpearl.ca. And again, I'm looking forward to May the 11th to May the 17th. So that's just for information purposes, Your Worship, and that's it for our committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Anybody with a question or comment on anything? If not, moving on to corporate services, Councilor Avery.
Thank you, Your Worship. Two items to table today. One is the professional development and training for the CAO to attend the FCM conference May 30th to June 2nd of this year, and I so move.
It is moved by Councilor Avery, seconded by Councilor Tessier. Question or comment? All those in favor? Contrary-minded, motion carries.
And the second item is invoices totaling $469,830.35. I'd like to move them. There's 5 invoices there, largely made up of 2 big pieces of regional services. The regional fire service for $359,000, as well as the paratransit for $90,000. Paratransit is for a quarter, and the cost of regional fire is just for 1 month, and that makes up the bulk of the invoices there for approval, and I so move.
Moved, seconded. All those in favor?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. First of all, I want to ask for the support of Council to award the contract for CP2, which is the 2013 street upgrading, closed on April the 8th, 2014. We would like to recommend that the lowest compliant bidder, which was Modern Paving, who submitted a bid in the amount of $1,088,110.34 be awarded the contract, and I so move.
Seconded. It is moved, seconded by the Deputy Mayor. Questions, comments? Hearing none. All those in favor? Contrary minded, motion carried.
Your Worship, the multiplex, we make a comment every meeting as part of our report, basically on financial status. That's about 94% complete. I guess this would be a bit of an appropriate time to just make the comment as well that we had an opportunity yesterday to have a tour of the facility, and the facility is really coming along nicely. It's a beautiful looking modern facility, and while we do poke a little fun, deservedly so, I might add, occasionally at Director Jerry Antle, because of the pipes and the air exchange and the water exchange system in this case as well, the air exchange. It's just overall excitement. That's what he's into, and I have to say that the magnitude of that in this particular facility is just amazing. It's mind-boggling actually when you go through, because it really is the heart and soul of the facility, because it is primarily an aquatic facility. The other thing that's impressive, and I think everybody was struck by similar things, was the spaciousness of the facility, some of the community rooms, the openness, the glass, the amount of glass that catches natural light throughout the facility. I think it's going to be really impressive for people to see it, and they'll see it soon enough. Actually, in the next couple of months, we hope to have the facility open.
Some fellows have stopped putting pictures on Facebook and public and everywhere else. Yes, I'm looking at you. Some fellows have stopped doing that. Guilty as charged. Yeah, we'll have an opening that no one will come to because they haven't seen it all.
Yeah.
You gotta stop doing that. The market is right. The enthusiasm. Tell him, John.
Well, no, I'm not going to tell them, but I will say though that when they do have an opportunity to see it firsthand, I think they will be extremely impressed. So we were fortunate at various stages of construction to see incremental improvement being carried out by not just the main contractor Marco, but some of the subcontracts for this building. Like a painting contract for this building is like $1 million. It's a crazy amount of money, and it's just coming along so nicely. So thank you to staff for organizing that. I want to extend gratitude as well to the people of Marco, who are the main contractor for the site. We have a person at IPW, Daryl, who's doing continuous monitoring, and I think that investment for us has paid dividends, tremendous. He really has been, and I think it's provided us with incredibly valuable service to work with Daryl through Bay New Plan and through the contractors. That partnership has really worked well. A couple of other things to note. The animal control report is appended here. I just want to say one thing, and that is to extend gratitude to a number of different groups and agencies. In this case here, we're talking about the Heavenly Creatures. You'll see that they placed 17 animals so far for us this year. Beagle Paws are normally very active. It just happens that at this early stage of the year, the accessibility of beagles or the need to have them placed hasn't been as high. That's normally in the summer and in the fall of the year, or after the hunting season, normally actually late in the fall of each year, unfortunately. The next thing that I want to mention as well is, I know it doesn't feel like it, and it certainly doesn't look like it, but we're talking about a spring activity report. We do have seasonal employees called back to work on both a winter schedule and a summer schedule. Our summer schedule employees came back to work on the 28th, and of course they would be primarily working to do beautification efforts in our open spaces, in our parks, all of that sort of thing. We do have a dedicated crew, doing catch basin work, which takes a lot of time throughout the city. We have an asphalt crew of 4, sometimes a lot more than 4 people, depending on what work needs to be done. Unfortunately, asphalt plants don't open until late May, sometimes or the first week of June. So what we're doing now is basically the best that we can do with a pothole patcher. But once the asphalt is available, then you can put hot asphalt on the, in both the potholes and some of the other areas that needed to be attended to. It does a much better job. You know, ironically, the street sweeper yesterday had to be converted to blades again. We actually had the equipment out last week sweeping streets. We had some pictures taken of those operations, and yesterday the staff put the sweeper back in and put blades on the equipment. It was almost disappointing, but certainly it's May in Newfoundland, so what do you do indeed? We are also in the early stages of attending to some of the missing street signs, sign poles, some of the damage that's done throughout the winter months as well. And we are also, we have some crews working regularly, of course, on bulk garbage. We already have one cycle of bulk garbage completed in most areas, not in all areas. That's still ongoing. The parks crews are on, UTM crews, which is utility maintenance. They're doing the water and sewer operations. The major focus now, of course, is getting the playgrounds, tot lots, the parks, the swimming pools, the baseball, soccer fields, the men's softball facility, all those things up and running, as well as the open spaces that we're trying to clean up as well. And you're absolutely right, Your Worship. When we do a little bit of work, and we'll do an awful lot more work with the help of our corporate sponsors and our many community volunteers through the 20-minute makeover. But when you do a little bit of work, it seems that the areas that are not tended to are that much more glaring. So I guess in a way that's a good thing, but it also identifies areas quite easily for our crews to go back to, and for some of our corporate sponsors. And when I say corporate sponsors, there is a wide variety of different sponsors. I know every year the schools have students come out and actually do a blitz of the school and the areas immediately around their school. Now, they also contribute to some of the mess, unfortunately, because it's almost inevitable during the winter months. There's just not as much, there are not as many receptacles for garbage and all of that sort of thing. But that's all part of the spring cleanup, so we're well into that now, both with our professional staff, and I hope, Deputy Mayor, that we'll have a huge turnout again this year for the 20-minute makeover. So that's it for me. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir, very much. We are going to planning.
It is.
Planning and land use. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. The first item that we have on our agenda this evening is to do with a regulatory review initiative that's been undertaken by the city's solicitor. Based on that review, the committee was advised that the adult materials display regulations that are currently in place should probably be revoked. The solicitor has advised that it is not mandatory for the city to have such regulations, and also he notes that the materials that are deemed to be obscene are addressed adequately under the Criminal Code of Canada. Now, these regulations have been in effect since 1988. However, to the best of staff's knowledge, there have been no infractions that have required the enforcement of these particular regulations. So it is on the advice of the city's solicitor that the recommendation is that the adult materials display regulations be revoked, and I so move.
It is moved by Councillor Ledwell, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Question or comment? All those in favor? Carried.
Moving right along, the second item that we have is an application from Bell Alliant. This is a proposed subdivision of land at 68 Glencoe Drive. The current parcel of land is 34,773 square meters. There's currently a building and a parking lot on this particular piece of land. The proposal is to subdivide the property into 2 industrial lots. The current existing developed lot will be reduced to 26,680 square meters, and the second lot that will be created will have an area of 8,093 square meters. It is unknown at this time as to what the newly created parcel of land will be used for. The subject property is bounded by the Trans-Canada Highway on the west and is surrounded by uses of a similar nature. The property is located within the industrial light use zone. When the new lot is ready for development, we will certainly have a new application that will come forward for review before anything is done with that particular second lot. The Planning and Development Committee recommends that the application for the subdivision of 68 Glencoe Drive be approved and a conditional development permit be issued subject to the subdivision's compliance with Section 5, Subdivision of Land of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded. All those in favor? Contrary-minded? Motion carried.
Next item is to do with a proposed accessory building at 116 Farrell Drive. This is an application for a permit to construct a 13 by 21 accessory building in the flanking side yard at the property. Now, 116 Farrell Drive is a corner lot. The accessory building would be used as a storage shed. The application was reviewed as an accessory building in a residential high-density zone with a flanking street side yard. The proposed building may be permitted by council as per section 6.2.2 brackets B of the regulations you'll see there in your kit. Now, the building would meet all the requirements under the regulations. The existing accessory building would be removed. That's the building that's currently on the site. The new building would be located in an enclosed, fenced area and would not impact sight lines or snow clearing operations. Finally, an important consideration in the committee's deliberations was that there is certainly a pattern of accessory buildings within flanking street side yards in that area up on Farrell Drive, and certainly we see no grounds to turn down one when others have already proceeded and been approved for similar developments. So, to that end, the Planning and Development Committee recommends that the application for a proposed accessory building in the flanking street side yard of a corner lot at 116 Farrell Drive be approved and a conditional development permit be issued, and I so move.
Moved by Councillor Ledwell, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Question or comment?
Just a comment, Your Worship.
Councillor Walsh.
Yes, sometimes it may seem that there may be a little inconsistency in the approval of dwellings in particularly accessory buildings, usually sheds, and in flanking side yards. But I just want to note that in our deliberations with the Planning Committee, you have to understand that in a lot of cases, duplexes, particularly areas where there are not just duplexes but row houses, they often have very limited space in which to put an accessory building. And while we are sometimes, and rightly so, I think, apt to not approve some permits or applications for consideration for intrusion in flanking side yards in medium density or low density housing areas. In high density, particularly we have row housing and other extenuating circumstances, there really is no choice. So I think when we did allow some residents along Farrell Drive, for example, to have accessory buildings in the flanking side yard, we did so because there was really nowhere else for them to put an accessory building. In other words, there were very limited choices. But once that pattern had been established, it's very difficult then for the committee to turn down another reasonable application that really is asking for the exact same thing that has been otherwise approved. So I just wanted to make that comment in case people may say, well, I applied for an accessory building in a flanking side yard and it was turned down. Yeah.
Thank you, sir, for the explanation on all of that. We are going to call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Contrary-minded? Motion is carried. Councillor Ledwell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Our next item is a notice of motion, which I'll read into the record. In accordance with Section 39 of the City of Mount Pearl Act, 1988, take notice that, in accordance with Council's public notification policy, I will, at a regular meeting of Council, move an amendment to the land use zoning map of the Mount Pearl Development Regulations 2010 that, if enacted, will amend Map 1, land use zoning map as follows. Rezone a 2 by 84 meter portion of the land that is located on the east side of lots number 44 to 38 on Pollux Drive, Moffett Road subdivision, Phase 4, from open space to residential single-family detached. Rezone a 4.9 square meter portion of land that is located on the east side of lot number 37 on Pollux Drive, Moffett Road subdivision, Phase 4, from open space to residential single-family detached. And rezone a 4.28 times 50.91 meter portion of land that is located east of lot numbers 44 and 41 on Pollux Drive, Moffett Road subdivision, Phase 4, from open space to commercial mixed. The purpose of this amendment is to provide Council with the authority to consider an application for the proposed development of Phase 4 of the Moffett Road subdivision. The redesignation and rezoning of the subject property is for the purpose of enlarging proposed building lots to consistent sizes and to convert a remnant area zoned open space to a functional use, i.e. commercial mixed. Moving right along, we have the development permit list for April 22nd to May 2nd of 2014. There are 3 permits listed there, and I'd like to move those.
Permit list is moved, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Question or comment? All those in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
And to clue up planning, of course, we have our permit totals for the period. This is the period of April 19th to May 2nd, 2014. You'll see that we did have a busy period on the residential side. The total for the period is $962,900, and I so move.
It is moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried.
And lastly, on the commercial permit list, our total for the period, $10,500, and I so move.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Reminded. Motion is carried.
That concludes planning.
That concludes planning. Thank you. Transportation Public Safety Committee report. Councillor Tester.
Very short agenda. As we heard earlier, there is an MS walk taking place in Mount Pearl on May 25th. So for the information of the public, that walk is going to start at O'Donnell High School. There's going to be 3 rest stops along the way, a certificate of liability insurance naming the city as insured during that event has been received from the MS Society of Canada. And of course, as always, our municipal enforcement officers are aware of the walk and they can provide assistance if it's required as well. And again, given the great work, of course, that they do, we want to encourage as many people as possible to come out and support that walk. And we want to encourage this traffic to be aware that on that day, that walk will be taking place.
Thank you very much. That, I think, concludes all committee reports that I have. So we'll go to new business. We start with Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just one item. I wanted to express condolences to the Toop family. Jessie Toop passed away, and I think her service was yesterday down at the Church of the Ascension. Of course, Jessie was heavily involved in the community, Citizen of the Year, heavily involved in the Girl Guides, received, I think, lifetime membership recognition back in the early 80s. So good friends with several of Jessie's children. So again, I just wanted to publicly express our sympathies to the family of Jessie Toop. And that's it for me, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much. Councillor Stoyles.
Thank you, Worship. I too want to pass along my sympathy to the Toop family. Jessie was, like the Deputy Mayor said, Citizen of the Year back a number of years ago, and also her daughter Phyllis was a Citizen of the Year. So a mother and daughter team, and they played a big role. I mean, you know, Phyllis is still living here in Mount Pearl. She was our Frosty for, I think, the first 15, 17 years of Frosty. So the Toop family certainly had and continues to do an awful lot for the city of Mount Pearl in the volunteer community, and I too want to pass on my sympathy to the family. Also, we lost another member, a businessman actually, who didn't live in Mount Pearl, but certainly had a business in Mount Pearl for a number of years, and that was Doug Baker. He had a sardine business that operated out of Mount Pearl for, you know, how many years, as long as I can remember, and yeah, Doug passed away also at the age of 70, so I wanted to pass my sympathies along to him. Also, Your Worship, the water levels. We received information from the St. John's Regional Water, and the highest record in the past 4 years that the water levels are up. So we do have lots of water. So hopefully the summer we won't have too much problems. So hopefully it's going to continue.
We'd love a little heat.
Yeah, we certainly love a little heat. The next thing I wanted to mention, Your Worship, is the police officer of the year that took place last week on Friday, and unfortunately we didn't have anybody from the city attend the event except some of our staff, of course, was there because a couple of our members had been nominated for Peace Officer of the Year. But I wanted to recognize the 3 people who had won. Constable James was from the RCMP. Constable Justin James Lidwall, Lyall, Lyall. He was from the RCMP, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and the RNC was Constable Krista Miller. Krista, of course, is married to Stephen Miller, a well-known Mount Pearl name, Bernice Miller's daughter-in-law, and they're certainly quite proud. And Constable Fudge was the Peace Officer of the Year, so I wanted to pass on my congratulations to all of those people as well. We haven't been there. We had 2 nominees. We had 2. No. Also, Your Worship, on Sunday, the CLB held the 50th anniversary for the Mount Pearl group here, and a number of us on council attended. Myself and Councillor Ludwell and Councillor Aker came and attended that event for the flag raising, and came back afterwards for the closing of the event, so it was great to see that. Also, Your Worship, the Kinsmen had a big event on Sunday night, and again it was a large number of people from the city. We did actually. We did sing. So did you? I did. Did you? We did. The other thing, Your Worship, I wanted to mention is that I attended a briefing session from the airport. They had a big press conference last week where they announced what they're going to be doing with the airport, and they're going to be more than doubling the size of the airport. And I have a copy of the outline of that, and I will pass it along to our staff and that afterwards. But I have to say it's quite impressive on all the work for the next 6 to 10 years. They're going to be doing a big expansion there again, and of course we have a representative on that airport authority. And the other thing I wanted to mention, Your Worship, was I understand that Bill Fitzgerald, one of our long-time employees who's with the city for 29 years, is going to be retiring in 2 days' time on Thursday, and certainly wanted to pass on to Bill and to his family all the best in the upcoming years. I'm sure he will keep busy. And the RCMP is doing their Klondike night. This is going to be the last one, and it's going to be over $1 million, and we've had a large number of our volunteers. The Mount Pearl Cadets have played a part in the Kinsmen, the Lions Club. There will be an awful lot of volunteers down there, and they have been down there for almost every year since they've been doing Klondike, and certainly looking forward to that event. And so, of course, etc. starts tonight, and I'm sure a lot of people will be at that from council. I think the first night is tonight up at the Glacier, so we're looking forward to that. And before I finish, I wanted to say congratulations to Councillor Welch. His 13 years service, not 12.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Started at 13, yeah.
Started at 13.
Councillor Walsh.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Councillor Stoyles. I just want to acknowledge there is a dance group in Mount Pearl called Revolution Dance. They're going to be traveling, I think it's in July month, to New York City. And, you know, I have an opportunity to perform in New York City is a big deal. It really is a big deal. I think there are 26, I believe that they're all girls traveling with Revolution Dance. The vast majority, for sure, are from Mount Pearl. They had a very successful fundraiser this past weekend where I think they raised about $12,000. So congratulations to them, and a huge word of appreciation to the people who came out to support their initiative on the weekend as well. I just want to put in another plug, yet another plug for the 20-minute makeover. I hope that as we do it, we've done in past years, that we contact some of the businesses, because there are some of the obvious areas close to some of the fast food outlets and some of the coffee shops that are really badly in need of some cleaning. So we hope that as good corporate citizens, that some of these commercial operators will actually take the initiative to clean up some of those areas. We know where they are. We know who they are. they're usually very, very good in trying to come out themselves and take some initiative in cleaning those. But we need a lot of people. Just in our ordinary residential neighborhoods, almost all of our neighborhoods have some sort of a green belt behind it or around it or a park or a tot lot. These all need to be cleaned up. If we had to depend 100% on our staff to do that, we simply would not be able to get to all the areas. So please take some time. We'll provide whatever level of support we can, as the Deputy Mayor outlined in his report, to do it. We'll provide the bags, the gloves, whatever needs to be done. But please take the initiative. I know the area where I live, year after year, we usually have 15 or 16 or 20 people, whoever can come out on a Saturday, and we try to clean up the green belt behind Wembley Crescent. And it's always a fun kind of a thing too. You know, it's a lot of fun at the end of it. You work for an hour or so, and then you have a little bit of fun, a barbecue, and you get to meet any new neighbors who may have moved into the area, etc. So it's a nice way of doing things like that as well. I'm almost embarrassed to have to actually even mention this last thing, but I know our winter parking ban has ended, but if we do have an event like we had last night, it would be very much appreciated if people would use a little common sense and get their vehicles off the street, because we do actually we had sand trucks around last night, beginning around 8 o'clock or so, to try to get some brine and salt the streets before the snowfall. And of course today and again last night, and particularly overnight, we had the plows on the streets as well. I know it wasn't a great accumulation, but if it was left there this morning, it would have provided an impediment for drivers. A lot of people this time of the year obviously have their summer tires on. They have the winter tires removed, so that makes it a little bit more cumbersome. So and I hope we'll never have to apply this, but if that happens again, a little common sense, get the vehicles off the street, daytime and nighttime actually, so that we can have our forces do the job that they need to do. That's it for me. Thanks very much.
I was impressed, Your Worship, as well, at the sidewalks. I mentioned to
Yeah.
Director Antle that several of the students were impressed that the City of Mount Pearl had our sidewalks cleared.
And all the school zones were done.
They were cleared, they were safe, so kudos to our staff for doing a great job on that.
Just one item. When we came into council tonight, a lot of our council meeting was taken up with proclamations and presentations. And I just think it's really important for us to, I know that we all recognize it, but what a great forum it is for community groups to come to a public council meeting, which is now accessible through our webcast, certainly through our minutes on the website, but the webcast particularly. The press is in the gallery. And we're really thrilled, I think, to be able to provide that opportunity, because this is really important work that's being done in the city and in the region, and I just think it's outstanding that we can actually provide a platform for them to do it, and I think it's something that has been done for years, and I'm sure that we're going to be very pleased to continue to do it again. But it just struck me when I was sitting here, like it took so much of the meeting, but what a great opportunity for these groups that are doing such outstanding work to raise money for great causes, to raise awareness for great causes. So I just wanted to mention that. I just thought it was outstanding.
It was. Thank you, Councillor, very much. Councillor Raker?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Just one item. Although I did want to comment too, it was very sad to hear that Jessie had passed away. So my condolences to the Toop family, and she was a member of the articles she wrote in the paper, and she was always there, a big supporter of the guiding movement, and a great representative of the City of Mount Pearl, and a former Citizen of the Year. So everything else I wanted to talk about has been talked about, except the Crime Prevention Committee had a family fun day on Sunday at the Reed Center. I was talking to Roz Pratt. They had a really good turnout from all the schools and that, so I just want to congratulate the members, the volunteers, led by Roz, of course, for another successful event which helps to fundraise some funds that go right back into the program. And that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Your Worship. And Councillor Raker took care of one item on my list, so I'm down to one item as well. I just wanted to make very quick mention of the Mount Pearl Lions Club. Last evening, of course, they held their 58th charter night. That's 58 years of doing all kinds of great volunteer service and community work in the city of Mount Pearl. So I want to congratulate and thank all of the members of the Lions Club. Your Worship, you attended, as well as Councillor Stoyle, so it's great to see great representation from Council there. And certainly it was a nice evening, lots of recognition for various projects that were undertaken. And of course, I'd be remiss without mentioning, of course, Claudette Coombs. Claudette Coombs is the club secretary, our Citizen of the Year. And Councillor Stolz referenced our first mother-daughter Citizen of the Year team. And of course, as we all know, Claudette and her husband Gerald, the Lions Club president, are our first husband and wife team to ever win the Citizen of the Year. So certainly it was a great night and celebrating a great organization. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Council. Just one little thing that I'm going to pass. Well, a couple of two little things. First of all, as you know, we had the M&L Spring Symposium in Gander. It ran from, well, it was the emergency preparedness sessions Wednesday and Thursday. Then the actual symposium ran Friday and Saturday. The work that we have been doing, which I reported to Council on the signing of the Regional Economic Development Report for 20 towns. Delighted to say that was signed on Friday afternoon. A fair amount of work. We were well recognized for the effort. But I want Mr. Yevchek in particular to pass on a pat on the back and a heartfelt thank you from the mayor to Steve Butler, who is really our business retention officer in our economic development department. But as council gave us permission to virtually kidnap our economic development department for a couple of months to work on this for the province and for M&L. Let me say first of all that COA expressed a great deal of surprise at why it should have taken 18 months to 5. And that's very, very pleasing, and M&L is absolutely pleased with it. But the guy who took the spade and shovel and found some of the primary principal pieces of the work necessary to get this thing happening, did presentations on it, attended some of the events, and was a stellar host when we had all the economic development officers here and did the work. Was Steve Butler, and I told him this week he's not off the hook yet. But as soon as we do the next stage of this, which is where to from here and out, looking forward to sign, and he's looking forward to being engaged in that process. But I do want Steph and his supervisor here to let him know that council recognizes his good work in this file and pass on my thanks to him for that. Just something from our community, I think that everybody might find of interest. To me, it's kind of outstanding. Helen Escott from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police made contact with me this week to advise me that there's going to be a very special National Day of Honor to recognize and commemorate the 40,000 men and women of the Canadian Armed Forces and the hundreds of police officers, diplomats, correctional officers, aid workers, and other Canadians who contributed to that decade-long Canadian mission in Afghanistan. And she wanted us to know that the RCMP in Newfoundland and Labrador had 2 members who served in Afghanistan, and both of them are from our city of Mount Pearl. In May of 2011, Superintendent William Malone, Bill Malone from Mount Pearl, was deployed to Kabul, Afghanistan as the Deputy Canadian Police Commander, overseeing the day-to-day operational policing duties of 45 Canadian police officers working throughout the country. Superintendent Malone is currently the officer in charge of the Combined Forces Special Enforcement Unit for the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. He's a Mount Pearl resident. And along with that, Sergeant Barry Pitcher was embedded with the Provincial Reconstruction Team in Kandahar during 2007 and 8. He has a tactical and military background and worked with other team members at the base, which was known as Camp Nathan Smith. And his duties included assisting in the rebuilding of the Afghan National Police Force by training, mentoring, and equipping Afghan police officers, conducting presence patrols to outlying police outposts, assisting civilian military cooperation teams, and the Canadian military in developing special aid projects for the Afghan people. Both of these RCMP officers, Superintendent William Malone and Sergeant Barry Pitcher, in actual fact are from the city of Mount Pearl. I want council to recognize that I have proposed that we are going to send a small note of congratulations to those.
That's good.
They honor their uniform, their province, their country, and I believe it's fair to say, whether it is adopted or not, they honor their city and their proud. And Helen asked that I would table this and that it be recognized by council, and I have done so. I think that's wonderful.
It is good. Your worship, I am, because I was assuming you were going to mention it and you didn't. The municipal handbook, the new municipal handbook that was launched at M&L this weekend. I have one for every member of council.
Yeah, I never picked it up because I assumed you had.
Well, I didn't take yours, but
I have.
you took one, okay.
No, I had one earlier.
Okay, I have one for every other member of council, so I will bring them and leave them here. Yeah, well, what I'm going to do is bring them in and leave them here because it's a real nice new book and it gives you room to put a lot of documents and things in to leave on your desk. And I think that's what these books were meant for, to leave if you want to take it home from time to time, certainly. But it's a brand new book that was just released by M&L, and it's going to be a great tool for all elected municipal councillors and for staff. So I do have them, and I will be bringing them in. I just forgot to take them today. It is? It is.
That being the case, I'm going to entertain a motion to adjourn. By Councilor Walsh, stand adjourned.
I was going to read you the Maggie Walters.
What? Yes, I know. I knew that. Yeah.
You know that?
I got a call actually from Karen to let them know, and
Yeah.
I was a little surprised they were.
She's been sick for a long time.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she went to the gym with me all last year.
That's the middle one.
Yeah, she had ALS.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah, I was talking to, anyway, I didn't know, I knew you would have known her from church, right?
I